love the ocean life.
Salt air, sea breeze, seagulls. I mean, does it get better than this, guys?
Look over there. Look at that seagull. It's hanging out with Mike.
Get out! Get out of there! Get out of! They're trying to fly. They took another Funko Pop. This is.
Just let it go, Mike.
Nature is beautiful.
No, this is not okay. Those are collectibles.
I think the nutritional value that those seagulls will derive from the Funko Pop is more than any sort of sentimental or financial value that they're imparting to you.
Bullshit.
So
He's choking to death.
Bullshit. Absolutely not. Yeah.
it's like when you throw rice at a wedding.
Good. All right. Well, Funko Pop is lost, but at least that bird is dead. That's a good
Jesus,
step in the right direction. What?
You-
He fell out of the sky.
You hate the birds more than you hate the birds more than Alfred Hitchcock did, and that's why he made that movie about them.
I do. They're sky pigeons. They're not.
Pigeons
They're
are
sky rats. Shush.
also birds.
Listen.
They're fine.
Pigeons are a psyop. They're not birds.
Guy, I just secured the pigeon, the sky pigeon vote.
Yeah, Mike, we're gonna have to, good thing we're out here. Good thing nobody's around. We're out here on beautiful Long Island Sound.
Yeah, you didn't. Could you actually? Why you guys just ran in, told me, Mike, no time to explain. Get on Raw Boat Roan. We're dragging the recreational out to the sound.
And there's still no time to explain. Just kidding. Adam, explain.
Oh yeah, well, Mike, as we talked about last week, I had gotten contacted by this guy who wanted to sell us Raw Boat Roan, which is a speedboat, sort of themed after Everybody Loves Raymond, kind of specifically Robert Barone. As you can see, we've got the sort of like the sexy lady on the World War I bomber, or maybe World War II. It's Robert sort of busty, lounging on the side. The nose of the boat is Robert, sort of with, mouth agape, sharp teeth sort of thing. The engine is in the shape of Robert, like where the rudder is, it sort of looks like he's kicking his feet. Like, it's a lot of little details like that the theme is very on point. But
what I really do like, actually, this is not the point. I really do want to know why we're in the ocean right now. But at the same time, I do want to say that it's a really nice touch that in order to start the boat, you have to pull the lever, but the lever is like underneath Robert's face on the nose of the boat, so it looks like you're tapping his chin in order to get it to go. It's a very nice touch. It's
yeah, this is a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah. So I went out here a couple days ago. I met the guy, really cool guy, Brad, his name was, and he let me take it for a test drive. I went around Limbrook Lake, one at a time, of course. So I went, sat in the boat, slowly turned the boat around, and then that was the extent of the ride. But that was enough for me. So I handed him, I think he wanted, and Alex, I used campaign money for this because I felt like it was a write-off sort of expense. $50,000 seemed fair to me.
Adam, that's not cool. Could you imagine what would happen if they found out that I, a politician, used money for things that were not directly involved in the campaign?
Luckily,
I'm just kidding. That's fine.
Luckily, we're out here, international waters in Long Island Sound, so nobody will, nobody can hold that against us.
No, it literally doesn't matter. No one's going to care.
So I gave him $50,000. He gave me the key, and
again, this is great. It's an awesome boat. $50,000 of campaign money can be easily explained away. That's a drop in the bucket. Once again, though, I gotta ask, why did we have to desperately and hurriedly board the boat this morning?
Well, as you know, on Saturday, oh wait, you weren't there. You had that, what were you doing? You were, we had the Jonah Hill Festival that we had talked about last week on Saturday.
Yeah, I couldn't make it. I had an incident wherein I walked into a Baguette store, and the guy behind the counter was like, huh? And I had to run, and I had to go lay low again.
He aggressively hawned you.
Aw, Mike, did you get us banned from Baguette about it?
I think I might have. I'm not gonna lie. I think. Well, I'm not 100% sure because I ran away. I mimed myself in a little box, and he ran past me. I think he missed it. But yeah, as you guys know, and just as a reminder, I am still on the run from the French, so I did need to lay low after that, and you know. The French love film festival, so I knew that there was going to be someone there. So I had to.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, we billed it as, in very small letters, the Jonah Hill Festival, but then in very big letters, Cannes 2. So we had a lot of, like, French film bigwigs coming in for this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we held that. Oh, by the way, about getting us banned from that French bread store, do you feel bad about that? Or do you have... Yeah, do you feel bad about that, or do you have...
Baguettes?
No baguettes.
No baguettes. I have no baguettes.
Okay,
I have no...
good.
The purchase didn't go through, so I still have no baguettes.
Well, your card gets declined all over town, so that part is not specific to this situation at all. Yeah, no, we had the Jonah Hill Festival on Saturday, and big turnout, great turnout. It was mostly about bringing the community together, obviously. Tensions have been high, especially in that neighborhood, the Limbrook Christian Men's Center is there, the Limbrook Theater that we had talked about, the movie theater. That's where Baguette About It is. I'm surprised you didn't see all the commotion that happened, but we'll talk about that in a second. It's a great little shopping center down there, and we had planned this festival, bring the community together. We specifically reached out to and invited the Vegans, who are famously anti-Semitic dance crew here in Limbrook.
Yeah. Why did you reach out to them? Oh wait, right, because we wanted to convince them. That's right. We wanted to change their minds.
That's right. Okay. We wanted to show them, by showing them the movies of Jonah Hill, we thought maybe we could convince them to no longer be anti-Semitic. And cut to, we watched, let me see if I remember. We watched 21 Jump Street, Stutz, 22 Jump Street, Stutz again, the scene in You People where Eddie Murphy talks about how much he loves Farrakhan, and then the first part of This Is the End until it gets to the title card, at which point we turned it off as if to say this is the end.
Yeah, did you cut Superbad?
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. Superbad was in there.
It was. Yeah.
And Wolf of Wall Street. Those were playing simultaneously, split screen, so people could choose. But
both movies at full volume, though, so it was just kind of chaotic. I've heard.
Yes, you could probably hear it from Baguette About It.
Yeah.
So we finished the movies. There was a Cannes-style standing ovation. What we did was we had our cardboard cutout of Brendan Fraser from The Whale, so we got a good 10-minute standing ovation for that. And then everybody quieted down, and we said, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest for you. We've been watching the movies of Jonah Hill, and we want to, and I'm very surprised and grateful that he was willing to do this. We want to introduce our guest of honor tonight, the man we're going to be presenting with the Palme d'Or, which is a hand-shaped trophy that we have. His name is Jonah Hill, but those of you who know him really well know him as Jonah Feldstein, and a huge gasp from just the Vegans, and there's only 6 of them, and the other 300 people were all French film critics, but the Vegans, audible, huge gasp. See, they had not realized that Jonah Hill was Jewish.
Very surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So we handed him the award. He said, thanks, everybody. I just want to say, it's such an honor. I love Limbrook, da-da-da-da-da. And then they clapped him off, and then before everyone filed out, the leader of the Vegans stood up. He's a good guy, Mike. I think you know him well, right? The leader of the Vegans.
Is it Doug?
Yeah, Doug
Yeah.
the vegan.
Doug the immortal super soldier who you met while doing a dominatro is the leader of the anti-Semitic dance crew, the Vegans.
Yeah. You don't know more than one Doug, right, Mike? This is all the same guy.
This is all the same guy that you've been talking about.
Yeah, no, the same guy. I definitely did not mean Dylan, the leader of the Flat Earthers. He's just a run of the mill guy. But yeah, no, Doug contains multitudes.
He's a complicated man.
Yeah.
He's a complicated dude. Yeah,
Complicated man.
But anyway, Doug stood up and he, through tears, he said, we've been talking as a group. Before everybody leaves, we just want to say, all the French film critics turned around and were like, oh? And he said, before everybody leaves, we just want to say, we've learned a lot here tonight. We want to announce that officially the Vegans as an organization are no longer anti-Semitic. And then everybody lost their minds. They were so proud of them. Huge standing ovation. It was good. Everybody shook hands, and we had a couple conversions, actually. People, luckily we had the Moyle on site, so people converted, people, hugged, cried. It was a really beautiful night.
That's pretty damn amazing.
Wow.
So that was
Jonas
great.
got some pull.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
That was really good. So that's why we're out here on Robert Boat Roan, and we're just going to be taking it easy today and relaxing in the sunshine, and
I'm working on my tan.
I think that's the whole
this is
story.
this is a celebratory thing?
Yes.
It's actually not a celebratory thing.
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry.
There is a big part of the story that I left off there, so it was a really beautiful night. Everybody cried, shook hands, hugged, but then as we were walking out, Jonah was leading everybody out of the theater onto the green in that shopping center, which of course is shared by the Limber Christian Men's Center.
Another one.
Damn right you do.
And guess who's walking out of the Limber Christian Men's Center but the carnivores?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
They start snapping their fingers like this.
They did. They started approaching, snapping their fingers. They're two very different types of dance crews. The Vegans are a very, America's Best Dance Crew, hip-hop kind of dance, whereas the carnivores are very, 50s, Broadway dancing. So they approach them, sort of snapping. The Vegans were trying to be like, oh, no, we've changed our ways. We don't want to fight anymore. We're cool with everybody. But the carnivores saw Jonah and they were like, wait. Is this the night that you guys were doing the Jonah Hilm Festival? And we were like, yeah, of course. Didn't you get the flyer? And it turns out, and this was cold, that the Vegans had intercepted all of the handwritten invitations we had written so that they would be the only ones attending the Jonah Hilm Festival.
Holy crap.
And then the French also found out.
Well, yeah, it went through the French film critic circuit because other than... So Doug is the leader of the Vegans. Everybody else on this 8-person dance crew is a French film critic, and who is on the board at Cannes, and it's a very well-connected group, but they do have this specific interest in anti-Semitic dancing. So that's how that word got around. But other than that, we sent invitations to everybody. It turns out that the Vegans had intercepted all of the invitations because they wanted to be the only ones being, granted the opportunity to have this festival. And the carnivores were pissed, obviously, because they love Jonah Hill.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, famously.
So, it got pretty violent pretty quickly. The streets, let's just say, got stepped up to. It was hard to watch.
Listen, we know that that's the only thing that the carnivores will watch when they're in their dance practice. They just recreate literally step for step. The step up 1, step up 2 the streets, and step up 3 3D. Yeah. That one. They just watched that over and over again. So I'm sure that they just had a lot of practice, a lot of brutality in those dancing.
Well, yeah, the dancing
sounds like it, yeah.
The dancing is violent to start with, but the fact that it was Jonah and they famously have choreographed and put on several programs of dancing to the films of Jonah Hill. It's like when a symphony orchestra plays along with a movie. It's you go down to like Limbrook Symphony Hall, and you can they put up, Cyrus.
Listen.
They put up Cyrus on the big screen, and the carnivores are down there. Like, there's 20 of them, and they're all dancing.
Listen.
They're
say
doing
what you
a
will,
90-minute long. They call it, Cyrus Ballet.
Yeah, listen, I get it, because when I saw the solo dance number that went alongside Jonah Hill's Moneyball monologue, I'll be honest with you, I shed a tear.
Well, it's amazing because I didn't know that it's very like acrobatic Cirque du Soleil stuff where like, one guy will pick up another guy by the ankles and swing him like a baseball bat, and the other guy will fly into the crowd, and then the crowd catches him, and then everybody cheers home run. Like, that's great. And then there's the other guy off to the side doing the sabermetrics, which is a less dynamic dance, but it still adds a lot to it.
That's the guy that's dressed up like Jonah Hill. He's the guy that's doing it. And then they got Brad Pitt.
Well, they all dress up as Jonah Hill, to be fair. Like, they all have like curly wigs,
which is weird. Which is very weird because he's not even the focal point of that movie. Like he's like, don't get me wrong, he's a lead, but like the main lead is Billy Bean. And it's I don't know. I thought that was a strange choice.
But everyone's there for Jonah Hill.
I thought it was a strange choice.
No
that's
matter
all.
what movie they're doing, they do dress up as like Superbad era Jonah Hill. Like
that was a really weird choice when they did Inception, and they were all still dressed up as Jonah Hill. When they did The Martian dressed up as Jonah Hill, I didn't follow either of those choices. I didn't, now that we're having this conversation, I didn't realize quite how obsessed Limbrook is with Jonah Hill.
We never really thought to mention it before, I guess.
I guess.
Well, there is that park, that protected green space, of course, called
Hill Park? I thought that was just because it was on a hill.
Jonah Hill Park.
It's weird because he's from Los Angeles, but he's and I don't think he's ever, before he showed up to the Jonah Hill Festival that we were throwing, I don't think he's ever been here. Mm-hmm. So it seems very specific.
He's not very close with Ray.
I think the previous mayor, Oscar, had written that spec script called Jonah Goes to Limbrook, but I didn't think it had gotten any traction outside of Limbrook. I know they were doing readings of it at the library before it burned down, and it had gotten turned into a play at some point, but I don't think Jonah was ever aware of it. He never commented on it. So it does seem fairly one-sided on our part.
I agree. Maybe just to listen to a side note, because I know we've got to find out why we're on the boat anyway. But Alex, you think that if you threw in your campaign that you wanted to, build a Jonah Hill statue in Jonah Hill Park, maybe that'd get you a couple of votes.
I could see that, absolutely. I mean, I don't really know. Why not? Like, fuck it, right? What's a statue cost? Like $30,000?
Oh,
Probably more than
$30. I mean, if you know the guy, like I do.
Yeah.
We've got that guy here.
Statue Steve, who
he drives around. He takes these trips on the Amtrak. He goes down to like North Carolina, Georgia. Like when they're done with Confederate statues, he takes them and he brings them back up here, and he sort of Frankensteins the pieces together to make new statues. So yes, you could get a statue of Jonah Hill that's like, oh, that part came off of Robert E. Lee, but like it's clearly Jonah Hill besides that. You know what I mean? Like the plaque says Jonah Hill, even though oh, that's clearly Stonewall Jackson's leg.
It's been Frankenstein from all of the other Confederate generals whose statues have been torn down.
We could have a statue of Jonah Hill with Jefferson Davis's penis on it.
Weird that they constructed a penis on the Jefferson Davis statue.
We don't ask questions here. We just accept it
It's free bronze.
as it is.
It's free bronze.
Yeah,
Which is weird. It's going to look really weird because the rest of the statue
I think
is
it was
gonna be
originally
granite.
supposed to be a fountain, and they just never finished it.
Love it.
Yes, mannequin piss, but with Jefferson piss. There's a title.
So the
Here's a
There's a
pitch, though. Here's a pitch: is maybe we don't even build a statue. I mean, if Queens is open to it, we could annex a neighborhood and call it Jonah Hillcrest. I think that would be really popular. What?
yeah, exactly.
Why are you
Yeah.
flipping me off, Mike? Are you mad that you didn't come up with that idea?
Yeah, that's a terrible.
I have to admit, I did look in your binder of ideas, and that was one that I thought was pretty good.
I just had written. It's all of my ideas in that binder are flat Earth ramblings. And then you can see that I stopped mid-word, wrote Jonah Hillcrest ? And then continued my normal runnings of discussions on how the Earth is flat.
It's like that every couple of pages. I couldn't sleep one night, so I went through and just read your binders. And it's like that every couple of pages where it'll be like, the Earth is flat, the ice shelf, fall off the edge of the Earth. And then, there's stuff like upside down pool or like inverted penis, like just two words put together that don't really make a ton of sense. But yeah, I don't know.
I kind of like inverted penis.
Well, it's not inverted in the way that you would think it would be. It's not like it's
I did draw a
turned
diagram.
around. It's like it goes side to side. It's like a handlebar on the front, according to Mike's diagram anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's just an idea. We could do that.
Yeah.
But you were
But anyway, we
asking
can
why
talk about-
we're out on the boat? Is that...
Well, was it because of the fight? Was it because of that?
Oh, yeah. So they stepped up to the streets, and the dancing got more and more intense. It got more and more violent. And eventually this crowd had sort of gathered on the green space, people coming out of Baguette about it, people coming out of, the trivia bar called the French trivia bar called That Baguette's the Question.
That's right next to the French tote shop. Tote
Baguette.
Tote baguettes. Yeah, that one.
It's all caps bag and then very small, like superscript UE. I don't know how to spell that word. I just realized.
TTES. You got
but
it.
Yeah, it's the Baguette district.
The bagel store, the French bagel store. Bagel gets.
Bagel gets.
Bagel gets.
Well, it's the one that's run by Michael Bay, so it's where he will deliver them to your house. So it's called Baguette's Baguettes Gets Bago
Yum.
Baguettes Bago Baguettes Bago.
Adam, are you having a
baguettes.
stroke?
It's called Bago Get.
Are you okay? Do we have to go to shore?
It's
Do I have to
called-
signal the Coast Guard?
Bago Gets Baguettes. It's the bagel and baguette store where Michael Bay goes and gets your baguettes. If you beg.
All right, I'm gonna hang up on the Coast Guard. You're okay.
Man, Little Paris is a really growing neighborhood in
It's
London.
the Baguette district is. I mean, as more and more French people are moving here,
For unknown reasons.
the Baguette district is flourishing. But people were pouring out. People were, fight. And they did. So it came to blows, and people were getting drop kicked in the face, and then the crowd joined in. It got really, really violent, really, really fast. So Alex and I obviously got out of there. We took Jonah to the what do you call that? The safe room, and we left him there. I'm sure he's fine. And we just cleared the scene. Went back to the recreational. Drove. We actually drove to Jonah Hill so we could get a look, overlooking the green space. And we just watched as these people went at each other. It was a complete. There's no word for it other than riot. Tensions flared, and people rioted.
Yeah, no, okay. That's insane. Yeah, I'm glad that we got out of there then.
Yeah, it was intense. We were up there on the hill and we saw, Limbrook PD, and they're bringing out the heavy machinery. They're bringing the choppers. They're bringing the tanks. They're bringing they've got these cool new exoskeletons that they're wearing where they can just punch people. Metal fist. It's been useful for them since the testosterone and the testosterone, which, people are saying that enhanced level of aggression really played into how fast and how hard this riot ended up being. So that's been helpful. So they brought out a bunch of those. They were rounding people up, putting them in the jail. But the jail's only designed to hold one person at a time, obviously, because not a lot of crime happens in Limbrook. And in fact, a lot of things that are crimes in other places are not crimes here, just because of, the sort of permissive attitude. Like, you can...
Jurisdiction, yeah.
Yeah.
Judge who gives a shit. One word is really, really lenient when it comes to those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's a nickname, but it's also his legal name, right?
No, his name is Judge Thomas who gives a shit. WHOO, etc. You know how it goes.
Yes, very lenient. He won't prosecute like smash and grabs, like hit and runs, patricide. Like, these are things that just don't get prosecuted here. But one thing that does get prosecuted is violent dancing. Just because of incidents that we've had in the past, obviously the events of Step Up to the Streets, and Step Up 3D were based on real events that happened in Limbrook, but they portrayed them exactly accurately, it would have been a crime against humanity, because you can't show that amount of and that violent a death on film without it rising to a criminal level. So it became snuff level. I remember the debates when that was going on. And the reason that the jail can only hold one person is because it was one guy who did violent dancing that killed all those people.
We put him in a square and built the jail around him.
It was a real Hannibal Lecter sort of like, containment unit. But unfortunately, in this situation, it was multiple people dancing relatively less violently, but still dangerously. So they were trying to squeeze as many people as they could in there, but eventually just got ridiculous. It got too full. So they've instituted this program, and this is why we are out here on the waters, because we don't want to be subject to this, is anyone who is involved in that incident is going to have to go into, and is currently into, mandatory traffic school.
Oh, no. Oh, that's awful.
Okay.
Are we fleeing? Are we trying to avoid it?
We're not fleeing.
Were you stepping up, Adam?
I did not step up. I stepped down.
Okay.
I stepped down. We, the statute of limitations on this, speaking of statute Steve, sorry, two different guys. Statute Steve, who is the town sheriff.
Yes. Sheriff Statute
has
Steve
said that if we can't find you in 6 days, you're off the hook for this, just because of the number of seats that we have. And that's how long mandatory traffic school is. It's 6 days. They only want to do one session. They are doing it in Limbrook Symphony Hall, so they can only hold 600 of the people who were involved in these riots. No more. Alex and I would be 601 and 602. Obviously, you were in your box, so you weren't involved in this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, I mean, we'll be fine as long as we don't go back landside for another 6 days.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're just we're
just
out
here for a week
for a
then?
while.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So that's
fair.
why we're out here. We're just trying to wait it out. There's too much heat on the street. Okay, so we are in beautiful Long Island Sound, which is international waters where we cannot be prosecuted. we're here on Robert Boat Roan. Obviously, because of the traffic dimension to this, we had to bring the recreational with us. As we've established,
Right.
it has duck capabilities, so it is being towed behind us.
Yeah, see, there it is.
I know that's where they got the Funko Pop from. The seagull flew in through the exhaust pipe, got a Funko Pop, and came out.
Adam. Also,
yeah.
I hope you're fine with the white, the new white roof of the vehicle, because the seagulls are taking a liking to it.
It seemed unavoidable after the first drop of paint, so to speak, that this roof was going to be white. It's fine by me. If anything, it gives us a little extra camouflage. I will say, Mike, I'm not a huge fan of how you've rerouted the exhaust to go inside of the recreational. It's fine for now.
Yeah, we can't really go in there.
Yeah, no. It's great. It's fine. You just pour the gas directly in. It's terrific.
It's fine for now since we're out here on the water. We've got we're on Robot Barone. We're towing.
I'll move it back.
We're towing Rowboat Boat Roan behind us, our little dinghy, of course, and then behind that is the recreational. You understand, of course, the distinction between Robot Boat Roan and Rowboat Boat Roan, which has a W in it, which is our dinghy.
No, that's an important distinction. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're perfectly set up. We've got the food. We're doing hot dogs and stuff on our little boatside grill. I think if we're going to have to spend 6 days anywhere, this is a perfectly great place to spend it.
I love the ocean.
Listen, it's very, very pretty. My only concern is what if how are we gonna record? Is this gonna mess with the sound of the episode?
No.
Who doesn't like seagulls?
And there are gonna be seagulls in the background of this recording, as well as the gentle lapping of waves. All the equipment is still on the recreational. In fact, Mike, why don't you climb in there and run the microphones out of the exhaust so that we can have them out here.
Here, wait, take your gas mask.
Oh yeah, your scuba gear. Self-contained underwater Barone apparatus.
And as all right, here's the mics.
Thank
Oh, let me
you.
go back in, and I'll put the seawater into the hydroelectric motor that turns the
Boring.
cables, which starts the Rube Goldberg machine, so that I can hit the power button on the Lenovo.
Right. Bless you.
See, Mike, your tech talk made me make my allergies. How dare you?
He's allergic to tech.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike is going to climb in there and start the Lenovo, and then we will be recording.
It's going.
Okay, let's get started then. Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. It's the only Everybody Loves Raymond rewatch podcast. You might hear some seagulls behind us today. Don't worry about that.
We're on a boat.
Shh. We're going to be talking
in the middle of the
about-
ocean.
Stop.
Avoiding. Oh, wait, maybe we should.
We don't want
never
Statute
mind.
Steve to find us. We are
There's
out.
Connecticut.
We are here to talk about season 2, episode 21 of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's called Traffic School. We'll get into our scene-by-scene breakdown of that shortly, but first, we've been doing the show for about 15 seconds, so what do you say we take a break, come back, and get into Traffic School and all the gory details. Sound good, guys?
Love it.
I could use some, like a nice tall glass of seawater.
Yes, the seawater that we purchased at the store here on the land.
Which is a famous ocean liner that we just passed a little while ago on the ocean. Well, let's take a break, guys. I could use a timeout.
Okay, we are gonna be right back after this.
We're on the ocean.
Mike has a book here. Mike, how many pages are in this book?
There are 287 pages.
Why don't you hit us with Alex? Pick a number between 1 and 287.
200.
Go to 200 and read halfway down the page the first sentence.
The treacherous wasteland was massive, with small buildings and trailers arranged around him like a labyrinth.
Okay.
That was a good sentence.
It's a great
That was
sentence.
a very good sentence.
Okay, I found what I could out there, but man, it's looking pretty rough out there. I don't think we're gonna be able to hold those zombies back much longer.
It's like a labyrinth out there.
In a sense, yes. Alex, were you able to make a fire? I was
Better. I've been listening to a podcast.
Alex, how are you able to listen to a podcast? Were you able to find that you got an internet connection, really?
Well, yeah, no, I found this generator with about an hour left of power, so I used it to charge my phone, and also this cell phone tower. It gives me about another, let's say hour and a half of listening time. Generator ran out of power, so that kind of sucks, but figured we could enjoy some good entertainment with that.
So, to clarify...
I also used the portable stove to keep my hands warm while I charged it. But, now we're out. That's broken too. But
so
we got the podcast.
While I was out there bludgeoning mutated nuclear winter rabbits to death to find us something to eat, with Mike, who, by the way, if you didn't notice, didn't come back with me, who was killed by the zombies. You were in here
me. I love him, but
using the last of our power and cooking capabilities to download a podcast.
You're gonna be glad I did, Adam, because now we can listen to our sorrowly deceased friend's voice one last time before we meet the same fate.
What do you mean, meet the same fate? Oh my God! Did you not even? I asked you to fortify the barricades.
Yeah, no, they're coming. I was already bit. I got about half an hour left if I'm lucky. So I'm enjoying the greatest content possible before my time on this beautiful earth ends forever by listening to the Baroness Zonus.
Wait, Alex. The Baroness Zonus. Remind me what that is again.
Well, it's some bonus content from the boys of ELELR, which of course is us. Where if you can't get enough of our silly antics, you can pay whatever you want, one-time fee, and then get unlimited access to an extra episode every month forever. So that includes all the ones we've done so far and everyone that we will do. And that is, you will have access to those to the rest of your days, which again for me is about 27 minutes.
Wait, do you hear that? Somebody's banging on the door. Oh God!
Oh no! They know about the good deals.
Oh God! It's Mike.
I heard about the Baroness Zonus.
Look out, Adam! He's got $1.
Wait, Alex, is that enough?
He has enough. He has access. Oh God!
I know. $1 got me lifetime access. How about undead time?
After lifetime access.
Yeah, that's true.
Access.
That's true. When you die, you have to pay again. But that's just that's how it is. You get a new birth certificate. You get
No, wait.
This is bullshit.
It's coming back to me, Mike. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be able to pay with that $1 because, as I recall, you have to go to postfund.org/donate to make your donation to get lifetime access to the Baroness Zonus. Do you have a major debit or credit card?
Yeah, I got Chase.
Oh no! The only bank that still is up and running in the zombie apocalypse.
Well, I guess this is it for us then. Alex, it's been good knowing you. I think I'm just gonna let Mike bite me now so that I don't have to wait, I guess, 26 more minutes.
Crank that Baroness Zonus content, boys. I'm going and I need something for dinner.
Okay, welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 21. It's called Traffic School today. It's called Traffic School, and we're talking about it today. It's not called Traffic School today. We're going to start, as we always do. I'm Adam, that's Alex, that's Mike.
Hi.
And
Hello.
We are going to start, as we always do, with our overall impressions of the episode. Let's start with Mike today. Mike, overall impression of Traffic School.
Mixed feelings, honestly. Well, first of all, I think this one's going to be very hard for us to rate Raymond, because this is very much a Robert sucks episode, a Robert Central episode, and he does not do well with it. I thought it was good. It had a couple very good moments, a couple moments I was confused about. Thought when the ventriloquist dummy came in, it was funny until it really wasn't, and then it got a little bit, we saw a lot into Robert's psyche this episode. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought there were a few very, very funny moments, but yeah, I was surprised at the way that some of this went.
Yeah, totally. Alex, what was your overall impression of the episode?
This episode reminded me a lot of Scruples, believe it or not, where it's the whole family sitting in the living room fucking with Robert. And, you know, I gotta say, I really did enjoy it. I think it was all right until the puppet came out, and then I was all in.
Yeah.
Like, I was all for it. I love the idea of Robert airing out his dirty laundry through the false consciousness of a puppet, so that he can kind of tell his family how he really feels about them, which I thought was just a cool thing to do. And then, you know, the whole Raymond talk, it kind of felt a little meta to me at this point, where everyone was kind of like, all right, Ray, you go apologize. Like, where it's like, you know, we have this whole, like, you know, Ray has like the meaningful discussion with someone at the end of the episode. It's starting to become a little bit of a trend now. So it's kind of cool that the family acknowledged it like that. Yeah, it was a pretty solid episode. I agree with Mike. We're probably not going to have an easy time throwing that on the barometer today, because it was not really about Ray.
No, totally. I agree with all of that. I also thought it reminded me of Scruples. It's like this, like a near bottle episode. We had some different sets, but it mostly are taking place in Ray and Deborah's living room. Just the 5 main cast members, and it's one of this show's strongest suits to have all the dysfunction just spilling over from like just bickering and you know, bickering with each other into like this full-blown kind of confrontation, this weird like charged energy that Robert brings out in the puppet is something that this show does really well. And it's, yeah, Scruples, other episodes have done that. And then I also found like when they're making Ray go and apologize to Robert, that also, like Alex was saying, seemed familiar. Like it's something that they've done before, where it's like Ray is the one who needs to go and mend the fences, and Ray doesn't want to do that. Like that was reminiscent to me of previous episodes, as was the way of wrapping up the episode of, okay, Ray's going to go have this meaningful discussion with somebody. But all that said, I thought this was still a unique approach to that formula, and had a lot of really funny jokes in it, especially the end of the episode. I really enjoyed, and yeah, just a great one for sure. So shall we start going scene by scene through it? Let's.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's turn to our cold open then. Marie, Frank, Deborah, and Ray are in Ray and Deborah's kitchen. Robert comes in sort of sheepishly. He says nobody's home back across the street at the Barone house. Marie asks him how his class was. She says, "Did the children listen to you?" And he says, "I teach traffic school, Ma." I thought that was pretty funny. So Robert he's wearing a suit as well, worth noting, and he was teaching traffic school as part of his police duties. He got his first student evaluations today, and one of them says, "This class is a sure cure for insomnia." The instructor's very boring.
They just leaned into him really quick. I also want to say, I was kind of surprised that they had a rate my teacher for traffic school. I was very surprised at that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be something that you like. It's not like it's real teaching, right? Like Robert is just a police officer. It's not like he's even teaching like in New York you have to take the class before you get your license. That's, several hours long, and it's more in depth. But like remedial traffic school, I didn't realize was something where you would rate your teacher.
Neither did I. I also will say that, well, we find out, read through the roast. because there were a couple very good ones. In
Yeah,
there.
one of them was Frank reads this one. After 10 minutes, I wanted to take the officer's gun and end my misery, which I love how just they came out swinging hard with that one.
They got really creative with these insults. I adore
also
it.
will say how ballsy you have to be to be like, this man is taking his time so my insurance premiums don't go up, and yet I'm going to make him cry over it. I thought that was kind of a lot.
Even when I've had bad teachers, I wouldn't write this to them. Like, it's not an impulse that I have to ever say something so mean about somebody, but I guess Robert was just that bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
he must have really sucked.
It's also because, it's an involuntary thing. It's like they have to do this and they don't want to be there, so maybe they're in a worse disposition anyway, but I wouldn't say that to somebody. I wouldn't say you taught the class so poorly that I wanted to kill myself. I don't know. Alex?
I don't know either. I don't know if I'd want to kill myself.
Probably
not.
The road on that one.
Yeah.
Probably not. The supervisor is coming to sit in on Robert's class tomorrow, and he's worried about that. Clearly his students are not happy with him.
I also will say, I find it fascinating that the supervisor cares this much about how he's getting reviewed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's why don't you want it to be a punishment? Don't you want people to not come back? Don't you want them to feel tortured for their traffic violations so that they think twice when they're speeding again? In my point of view, I would kind of think of it as like, hey, these people hate him. Good. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point.
Yeah, that is a good point, right? Because, I don't know if there's anyone out there who's purposely gotten their license suspended so they could go back to driver's ed.
Yeah.
True.
And the material itself, I mean, you guys sat through driver's ed at some point. It's horrendously boring. I had a good teacher who was pretty good, and he made it as interesting as he could, but it's so not interesting. You have to be insane to make that not the worst.
I also think
Right.
bad drivers are going to be bad drivers, and there's nothing that's a dispositional thing that you can't change by lecturing them about it. So I don't think it really matters how well it's taught, right? Because the punishment is that they have to be there.
Right. These aren't people who are trying to get their license for the first time.
Right.
These are people who had their license and now have to go to this class because they messed up.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
If I was Robert's supervisor, I'd be like, oh, they wanted to kill themselves? Great. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Oh, they were bored? Great. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how they should feel.
Yeah. I just they seem very interested in making this a positive experience for the people watching, and that doesn't seem realistic to me. Not that it should. I don't think so. But
no.
Yeah.
But I do respect Robert for wanting to make it a positive experience for people.
Yeah, sure.
He wants people to enjoy the class, and he doesn't want to be this source of negativity or punishment.
He wants to do a good job.
He just wants to he wants to help people, and he wants to get them back on the road and acting more safely.
He wants to get better at this. Marie says that she can practice his routines on her, and then she has this little bit. She's, say I'm a crazy driver. Shut up, Frank. And now I have to go to Robbie's traffic school. And Robert is like, it's not called Robbie's traffic school, Ma. And Marie's like, no. Say I'm a person. Shut up, Frank. That, I love
that. Funny. I just love that.
And she does that throughout the episode, kind of it gets called back of her cutting off Frank prematurely because she knows that he's going to say something stupid.
I filed it away in my head. I was like, all right, there's got to be a rule 3. There's got to be a third one somewhere. This is, yeah.
And it's not a direct one, but it is the same like trait of
Yeah, it counts.
preemptively stopping Frank from saying something stupid. But Robert says that it would help if he could practice on all 4 of them, because we have enough for a class right here. Which also, if there's only 4 people in these traffic school classes, and, you know, that seems very intimate for somebody to then write, you know, I wanted to take the officer's gun and end my misery. It'd be pretty easy, I think, to narrow down who wrote that. Like, that's very personal, don't you? It's not like there's 50 people in the class.
Yeah. But they wanted him to know, I guess.
I guess so.
I guess.
Frank and Ray immediately go to run out because they don't want any part of this. But Marie says, Frank, you should stay. You're not the best driver in the world. Frank says that he doesn't need to learn anything. Marie says, what about that squirrel you ran over? Frank says he doubled back. That squirrel wanted to die. And then Deborah says, what about our mailbox, Frank? Did it want to die?
I was just going to say, I 100% agree that the squirrel deserved to die. He wanted to die.
Jeez.
I don't know if you've ever driven. No, come on. Have you've ever driven down? You've approaching a squirrel or a pigeon. They're scrambly guys. They get out of the way. If this one didn't and this one doubled back, number one, either he was done with his little squirrely life, or number 2, he was stupid. In which case, natural selection. I'm on Frank's side of this one. Mailbox, not so much.
I don't think the squirrel deserved to die. I do think it's possible that the squirrel wanted to die. Maybe the squirrel had just gotten out of traffic school and was unable to take the officer's gun and end their misery. So, next best thing is Frank's tire.
That's the twist. It was the squirrel who wrote the review.
And then the mailbox, all things that are totally believable that Frank would clip their mailbox on his way down the street. Robert says that Frank has an outstanding moving violation. And Frank says, I wouldn't say it was outstanding. It was pretty good, though, and sort of elbows Ray, like, ha, ha, ha. But Robert says...
That's a good... I like that one. That was a good bit.
No,
that's some good comedy right there.
Robert says that he can get it taken off his record if he does the class. And Frank says, why don't you just sign the thing that says I took the class? And Robert says no, and Frank then tries to bribe him.
If you won't hear it from me, let's hear from our finest presidents. Thought that was, listen, Frank's got the jokes, man. I don't know what to tell you. He's a funny dude.
A good episode for Frank, joke-wise, I think.
Yeah.
Frank says that if he has to stay, so does Ray, because he's got that traffic ticket he doesn't want to tell Deborah about. And Robert says that he could do a condensed version for them if they don't take any breaks in 3 hours. Frank says sweet crap, which gets an uproarious response from the audience. Regular traffic school is 8 hours, so if they don't go to him, they'll have to go to that, and they'll start in 2 minutes, so he suggests they all visit the lavatories. And that's the end of that scene. That's our cold open, actually. And no.
This is one of those episodes that entirely takes place within a single location, and I love it when they do it because it very much reminds me of a play, and I don't know. I think that they do this kind of episode very, very well.
I think so too. That's called a bottle episode when it's all in the same location. It's very nearly that. We do get an exciting new set though. But yeah, whenever they're in the living room and we come back to the same scene after a commercial break, it does feel very much like a play, and it feels very continuous and in the moment, in real time, which is something that not a lot of sitcoms do. We cut to, though, after we come back from the break, to everybody sitting in the living room. Robert has set up one of the kids' blackboards with traffic stuff on it. And he's getting started. He's got his binder of traffic school instruction, the traffic school teacher's edition. And he says, we'll begin with introductions. He says, my name is Robert Charles Barone. I believe this is the first time we're finding out Robert's middle name. And he points...
I think it is too, yeah.
I think he's said Robert C. Barone at some point.
He said Robert C. Barone at some point?
I think so. Sounds very familiar.
Well, now we know for sure that it's
I
Charles.
think Alex is right, but I don't know for sure. Yeah.
If only there was a... I don't know if I would have written that down, but we can look.
Only we could, like, I don't know, rewatch the whole series or something.
Yeah,
but
let's...
Why would we do that?
I wouldn't mind redoing our first 8 episodes. Robert Charles Barone points at Ray. He says, "And you are?" And Ray says, "Hated by God," which I thought was a pretty good joke.
Good one. Hey, we found someone who hates Raymond.
That's true. Goes around the room. Yeah.
I do like how immediately we see the problem when it comes to Robert, because Robert immediately, even though he's just normally talking to these people, as soon as he gets the little kitty chalkboard in front of him, he clearly gets so nervous and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Well, he wants to do, as we find out, he wants to do everything by the binder, and the binder says that everyone has to go around and introduce themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So given what we've seen of Robert in the past and sort of his compulsive tendencies and the specificity that he likes to conduct his life with, it's not surprising that it would be difficult for him to deal with, the class clown like Ray, when the binder says that you're supposed to introduce yourself. He goes around the room, Deborah, and then Marie says, "Hi, I'm Marie," which is I love how Marie is so earnest with this and just so happy to be a part of it. And then he gets to Frank, and Frank says, "I'm Frank, sign my thing."
I love how aggressively it is.
Yeah.
I love how aggressive Frank is in all this.
He hits that a couple times. Like, that's a good rule of threes, too, because I think he hits it 3 times. Robert starts going through the topics they're going to cover, like insurance and etc. Ray is heckling him as he goes through the topics. I don't remember what they are, like road safety, seatbelts, and insurance, and Ray yells out, "Things that are boring." And
Funny.
just keeps heckling him. Robert has them share what offense supposedly led them to being here today. He starts with Ray. Ray says, "I killed my brother."
Good one.
Robert says, "No, traffic offense." And Ray says, "Oh, could you go lie down in the driveway for a minute?" Which is a good joke. Solid.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
dark. There were a couple of good...
It's uncool, like how harsh they're being to Robert, but they are getting in some really sick burns, so you can't be too mad.
No, this is a great scene. It really is. As far as like roasts and stuff go, this is fantastic.
I think it's funny just to see them not take it seriously, and to derail this thing is outside of the reality of Robert's experience of it, is very funny. So I'm taking the jokes at face value while still feeling deeply sad for Robert as I watch this.
I do and I don't, because at the same time, like, hey, it's a night, presumably a weeknight, because the kids are already in bed, so it's got to be like 8, 9 o'clock at this point. And then Robert's just like, all right, for the next 3 hours, we are going to sit down and do traffic school. It's a dick move.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It's not that Robert completely doesn't deserve to have them make fun of him, but at the same time, they know Robert, and they know that he probably doesn't handle this sort of thing well. So, I mean, I feel sorry for him in that sense. But yes, maybe he could have not done the full binder with them and just practiced, the introductions or something for 10 minutes. Ray admits that he ran over an orange cone. Frank says he didn't tell Deborah. Frank says tell Deborah why. As I recall, it had something to do with a halter top. Halted you pretty good.
Good one.
Disgusting.
You know how these things happen. You see somebody and you think they're naked, and you look and they're wearing a beige top, and by the time you look back, ... And Deborah is like, "So, you just ride around looking for naked?" Ray says, "Well, it won't come to me." Good old sex joke there.
Good old sex jokes.
Good old not enough sex joke.
Kind of a husband humor, my wife humor kind of joke.
I mean, yeah.
I think the situation is funny. And I like Frank egging him on. That's really funny. Robert asks them a question. So At 55 miles an hour, you will travel 8 to 10 feet in 10 to 12 seconds. So will an oncoming truck. To pass safely, how many feet will you need? Frank raises his hand. Frank, sign my thing. Pretty funny.
Comedy.
It's a difficult question, they say.
That's
and sort of
an
pushback.
intense.
That's-
that can't
that's
be
like-
actually asked in
That's like you guys know, like it's 10 miles for every 100 feet, or yeah, isn't that it?
Something
Actually-
like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's obvious if you know, and I'm not just not
Is
gonna
it?
tell you because it's so obvious.
Is it?
Yeah, so obvious.
Yeah, and the answer then is,
Tell him, Mike.
yeah, Mike, what's the answer?
Sign my thing.
He got us there.
That's true. Robert insists on following the binder. Like, they all ask him, oh, can we skip this? And he says, no, it's in the binder. We got to follow the binder. It's binding. And then this is when Marie looks at Frank as an aside. Shut up, Frank. Frank's like, what?
Yep,
She says, you're
there's the
about to
third
do a
one. There's the
bathroom
third.
joke about binding. And then Frank is like, oh, rice, cheese. And they all start shouting out foods that are, quote unquote, binding. You know,
Food
intestinally
jokes.
speaking. Robert is getting upset as they're laughing hysterically. Even Deborah gets one in, yams, and Marie says, that explains last Thanksgiving. Ha 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 ha. They're all laughing.
Aha.
Robert is annoyed, visibly peeved, and he says, we're not here to have fun. And then Ray says, well, then you're the man for the job. And that sort of is the blow that defeats Robert, I feel like. He gathers up his binder, zips it shut, starts walking away, and Ray, he's saying, I'm just trying to give you some advice, lighten up. And Robert leaves, and Frank says, hey, you didn't sign my thing. And that's the end of the scene. I thought that scene ended very... I was affected by that. I don't like to see Robert hurt like that,
Yeah, it's weird to me because like they all knew what they were doing. Like I'm sure they could tell kind of how Robert wanted this to be like a serious thing. And then like they see him walk out and it's like that's the point where they kind of are like, "Oh, come on." I guess just because it kind of hit them like, "Oh, wait, no, we're actually being dicks here."
Yeah, they sort of feel like they went too far.
I think that was the right thing for Robert to do. Because, like, what else is he gonna do?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think that, like, the thing is that, yeah, they were being dicks. But at the same time, I think the move there would be just say, yeah, screw it, and give up, not storm out and throw a little pouty party. I don't know. I thought that it was immature on Robert's part.
I just feel like Robert wants to follow the binder very specifically and has trouble deviating from that. And, anybody else in that situation would be like, oh, all right, very good, very funny. So anyway, move on and, just sort of roll with it a little better. But I think for Robert, he's already feeling insecure about this and he wants to get it exactly right. And it's important for things to be exactly right for Robert. So his family should know that on the one hand, but also, he should be able to roll with it a little better. There's probably a middle ground that a normal family would be able to find.
Luckily for us, this is not a normal family.
Yeah, as you can probably tell. We leave that scene and cut to the same one not a moment later. Marie says to Ray, what did you do? It breaks my heart the way you treat your brother. I like how everyone immediately blames Ray for this. But Frank says,
he was the only one that didn't. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was gonna say he's the only one that didn't make a binding joke, but he did. He made a binding joke.
No, yeah, they're all being dicks.
Frank says it's true. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself. But Deborah says, they need to make it up to him. So go on, Ray. And they all tell Ray, you got to go apologize to Robert on our behalf, which I feel like they've done before. But at that
do
point,
this a lot.
At that point, Robert comes back and he admits, he needs to lighten up. And he says, to that end, I'd like to introduce you to Traffic Cop Timmy. He takes out a ventriloquist puppet of a police officer, Traffic Cop Timmy. Ray says that might be too
He just had
light.
that in his home?
It did not seem like it seemed like he went right over to their house, got traffic cop Timmy, and turned right back around. Right?
Well, he said he knows where it's from. He explains where it's from.
He says Judy uses Timmy to teach the kids about safety, to which he has Timmy say, "Yeah, and Judy has warmer hands." But
and you know what? Robert didn't storm out then.
No.
He came back so fast.
I guess you're right. I guess he was
his,
just like, I'm going
to go get traffic cop Timmy.
I guess in his mind he was a little like, all right, that's it. Time to get the fucking puppet.
But if Judy uses it, why does Robert have it?
Could be in the squad car. She could have left
They're
it there.
partners. Yeah, it's possible.
Oh, does he drive the squad car home?
Outside. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
know.
Forgot about that. I don't know.
Who knows?
I guess he puppets it.
Truly, who knows? But yeah, so for some reason or other, he has Timmy, who's the ventriloquist dummy that Judy uses to teach the kids about safety. Frank and Marie are immediately into it. Now we've got a show. They say, and Deborah likes him as well. She says, look at his little shoes. Ray is the only one who's not really on board. He says, did anybody hear me say puppet? When he told Robert to lighten up, did anybody hear me say go get a puppet? And Timmy says, why don't you sit down, big nose? And they're all sort of back into it. This is more fun. This is what they, this is a traffic school that they might not hate going to. Timmy asks Frank what the proper following distance is behind a car. And Frank says that he likes to get right up on them if they're going slow so they can read his lips, presumably because he's screaming profanity at them. And then Robert says no, it's 1 car length for 10 miles of speed. And Timmy says, remind me never to drive with you, you crazy old bastard. And Frank doesn't find it so funny anymore. He's sort of like taken aback. And he says, come again? Or how's that? And by the way, the audience, once Timmy comes out, it's like the audience is absolutely jazzed.
They woke up.
Love Timmy.
They love him.
Timmy asks Marie what she's supposed to do before you begin driving. Marie, is it? Hi, Marie. Buckle up your seatbelt, she says. Check your mirrors, look around, and behind you. Timmy says, anything else? Oh, that's it? Turns to Robert. She thinks that's it. Robert says, isn't that everything, Timmy? And Timmy says, how about making sure your firstborn child is in the car before pulling out of a gas station in New Mexico?
This is where
this
is where the dirty laundry drying comes out.
This is the turn.
I guess he's just been constantly thinking about this, because why would this come up now? Like, I just...
Thinking
not to
about
say this
cars.
is a scarring moment for him, but...
Thinking about cars, thinking about his family being mean to him.
I guess. Yeah.
It does seem like he sort of, maybe at first it seemed like he was getting Timmy to, try lightening up. Now it seems like he went and got Timmy to be, to air his true thoughts to his family.
Yeah, to kind of speak through another mouth.
Marie says, Robbie, that was 30 years ago. Robert says, I don't have a problem with it. And then I love the camera work in this scene where we're going close on Timmy, and he just sort of looks around, and Deborah says, uh-oh. Frank, by the way, I love Frank's interaction with the puppet of yelling at him, how do you know? You weren't there. Turns out Robert was still in the men's room. They drove in. Marie says they drove only an hour before they realized that he wasn't sleeping in the back and turned back around. Timmy says, only 2 hours? Excellent mother.
Too long.
Yeah.
That's too long. Oh my God. Like, you could get around the block and I'm on it with you, but like, oh my God, that is obscenely long to be like, oh, it's quiet in here.
And nobody noticed.
Robert? Yeah, that's
not even Ray, who presumably was in the back seat with him.
That's I mean, that's kind of classic Ray, though, isn't it?
Yep.
They missed, Frank remembers this. He says, oh yeah, we had to turn around. We missed the tribal dances. Frank says Ray would have liked it because those ladies don't wear very much. Which at first Ray is also responds very positively to this comment as well. If you look at, if you watch Ray,
does he actually? I did not look at.
I mean, this is a continuation on the.
It's a little weird.
Right.
Joke.
It took me a second to realize that it was a callback to the halter top, which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the rest stop, says Timmy, you missed the tribal dances. Meanwhile, back at the rest stop, a couple of truckers want to braid Robert's hair.
Jeez, dude.
This clearly was a traumatic incident for Robert that he's never had a chance to process in, professional, therapeutic, situation. So
I don't
it's
think
coming
he
out
goes to
via
therapy.
puppet.
Period.
I think he should. He should.
I
agree.
I think this episode was the most therapy Robert's gotten in a long time.
I think I think when a cop, maybe they didn't do this back then, when a cop shoots somebody, don't they have to go to therapy?
They have a lot of things like that, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Robert, 16 years on the NYPD, has shot somebody at this point, don't you think? Or at least pizza. Do you think he had to go to therapy after he hit that guy with the pizza?
In the 90s? No.
I will say, like, there are, of course, cops that do, fired their weapon in the line of duty. I don't think it's as common as, like, movies make it seem that way. It ultimately depends on what kind of cases he's dealing with. I don't know if Robert has ever been in that situation. I don't. I wonder.
Well, if we think about our spin-off for Robert, the Robert Barone Mysteries, I feel like he's fired. Dangling people over the sides of buildings by their ankles. And given what we think Robert's evenings are like on the night shift, he's probably killed several people.
I agree.
Probably.
I was aiming for his leg, but I accidentally hit him point blank in the brain. They're all, Marie is protesting and, I can't remember what she said. I didn't write it down, but, they protest this. They're, like, come on, Timmy.
There's no defending this. There's no defending this.
That's a big mistake. But Timmy says, "Oh, great family. Long as everybody's eating, everybody's happy, right? Just ask your husband, Burp and Slurp," he's saying to Marie.
It's a good nickname.
He says, "How come you're not saying anything about Deborah?" And Timmy says, "I don't have a problem with Deborah. You're all right, Cookie. Ha cha cha cha." What
and
an
this
awkward...
continues the not so subtle. Robert has a thing for Raymond's wife.
Yeah, that's
Deborah.
Honestly, I feel like that crosses a line a lot more than the parent stuff. Like, we would expect
100%.
Robert to use the puppet to tell off his parents, but to, hit on his brother's wife? That's not good.
That's a yikes.
Ray stands up. He's like, "Okay, traffic school is over now." And Frank says he's tired of Timmy's mouth. Timmy says, "Sit down, Shiny." And that's when Frank is like, "You want a piece of me?" And he raises his fist, and Ray grabs him. He's like, Dad, it's a puppet."
This reminded me of in interviews with people that have worked on Sesame Street and also have Seth Meyers. I was thinking of this. He was talking about his interactions with Kermit because there was a time when he was on SNL that they had Kermit do Weekend Update with him, and it was kind of cute. And he was talking about how in rehearsal he completely forgot that there was a human being under there, and he was just talking to Kermit like a person. I feel like that if you're a good puppeteer, that happens, because like when I'm watching the Muppets or Elmo or Randy Feltface or something like that, it's easy to forget that this is there's a person under there making him move around. Robert is not that good a ventriloquist, as he shouldn't be, but you see his mouth moving and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's
so it takes the illusion away.
No effort to hide his mouth moving or anything, but I think...
But he's also not a ventriloquist.
The camera work, I think, does a bit of that for us, though, Mike, of, when it goes close up on Timmy,
True.
Getting, reaction shots from him. You do start to... especially at the start when Robert is more like interacting with Timmy in like a classic ventriloquist way of like, oh, come on now, Timmy. Like that's that separation, we as the audience can sort of buy into that. It's like, okay, Robert's playing both, or Brad Garrett's playing both Robert and Timmy in this scene, whereas as Robert's true feelings start to come out through Timmy, then like that separation completely breaks down, and we're seeing Brad Garrett is playing Robert, who is just expressing himself in this different voice. But no, totally, I think it would be great, as long as we're pitching reboots of this show, why not do all the same episodes and plots and everything, but it's puppets. We get Jim Henson involved, or the company anyway. The man is dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have some bad news about Jim Henson, man.
And it's every episode is the same. We've got Puppet Bernie, and maybe we'll start with the waitress one, where we've got Puppet Bernie and Puppet Angelina's leaning over him and he's checking
and
around.
There's still. I still like the idea that like they're all puppets except Robert's still played by Brad Garrett.
Yeah,
because the Muppets always have like one human actor.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's got to be Robert, and that makes his height like even more funny.
Yes, agreed.
Anyway, Timmy says that if this was Raymond's traffic school, everybody would be sitting there without a peep. But the minute this poor slob, and then I like how the Timmy voice starts to turn back into the Robert voice as he's doing this. The minute this poor slob needs anything, everybody makes with the jokes. And then he and Robert are sort of deflated. They get up, they leave. It's a very the tone change is real there. We cut to then Ray coming over to the Barone kitchen. The lights are off. It's a great gag here. He turns the lights on and he sees Timmy sitting at the table. Little jump scare there, and he's calling for Robert, and he turns towards Timmy and he's like, "What have you done with Robert?" And we see him go back, and we've talked about the layout of this house before. It goes back, to the rear of the kitchen set, and this is our confirmation that is a hallway leading back to Robert's room. This is our first time seeing Robert's room. It's sort of like wood paneled, very warm sort of decor. Giants and Knicks pennants, a dartboard, several large posters of the moon and space, which I didn't know was an interest of Robert's. He's got a big globe.
He's got Giants and Knicks pennants. He's got the Art Shamsky jersey in the
I didn't
corner.
notice that.
That checks out because of the dog.
He's got
It's interesting to me that it was. Sorry, go ahead.
He's got a twin bed. Is that what you were gonna say?
That is hilarious. I
That
think
was
that
not
was
what I was
a
gonna
great
say.
little
What were you gonna
detail.
say?
Great little detail.
I was gonna say. I was gonna talk about Art Shamsky.
Oh,
a little
sure.
bit
Go ahead.
more.
Tell us about Art
I was
Shamsky.
just-
We
Mike.
already did that though, right? On the dog episode.
We did. I was going to talk about Art Shamsky was a mediocre Mets baseball player, as we know. But what was interesting to me is it looked like it was a Yankees jersey that was hanging up. It was like the black and white with the pinstripes, and I was just like, did Art Shamsky ever play for the Yankees? And I'm pretty sure he didn't. But even if he did, that it's weird to me that he would have that over the Mets. He was definitely more famous over. No, I just looked it up. He did not play for the Yankees at all. So either someone made a mistake.
Maybe it's like a
Or
bootleg
that's just-
jersey.
Yeah, maybe Frank just got a good deal on a special jersey.
I would believe that. He got fake signed balls. Why not get a fake jersey?
Yeah,
That's
true.
interesting.
That's
man.
very true too.
But I could also see maybe someone in the props department just isn't big on baseball and just kind of threw a jersey up there.
Maybe it was like a special, I don't know what the theme would be like. Oh, it's Hydrox Day at Shea Stadium, and everyone gets a black and white jersey.
Yeah, they would never do that for the Mets. They would never do
They wouldn't do
let's just do
Hydrox
Yankee
Day.
themed. Yeah, no, that's not how that works.
What about Oreo
Hydrox
Day?
Yeah, no.
No,
Yeah.
Hydrox. It has to be Hydrox.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just gonna say, Robert has a twin bed. and he has several like glasses, like water glasses on the dresser, and he's also got a barometer on the wall.
Hey.
It does definitely feel like this is Robert's childhood bedroom, right?
Oh, 100% it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he hasn't gotten a new bed. He hasn't taken down his, posters of the moon and space since the 70s. It's a very interesting insight into Robert.
Yeah, I actually guess, space is probably a lot more popular in the 70s since the moon landing just happened.
You don't think space is popular anymore?
I mean, we don't talk about it as much.
I think you're probably right. It's not exciting anymore. People go to space all the time now.
Yeah, there's no like breaking story, guy in space.
Yeah, it's not a historic moment when people go to space.
Yeah, yeah, he's in space. We get it.
Yeah, there's like 50 people in space right now. It's fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so it's an interesting insight into Robert and space. Ray comes in to Robert's room. He apologizes for telling him to lighten up. Robert says, "It's all right, I gave it a shot." Ray says, "Yeah, it went well. That Timmy's got a lot of issues though, huh?" And Robert says, "Timmy's just a puppet." And Ray's like, "Yeah, I know. Just good to hear you say it."
Which is funny.
Thought that was funny. Robert says he made an ass out of himself. Ray says, "Yeah, people like balloon animals." But the parents always told Robert, Marie always told Robert that, anytime you need anything, the family will help you. He says, "I fell for that every time." And Ray says, "This parenting stuff is just not their field." Robert says, "Well, they did all right by you." And Ray says, "And you're not the only one who gets to be, you don't own suffering or something like that?"
He's not the only one with trauma is basically what he was saying.
Yeah. And he says, "You were neglected, try being smothered." Robert says, "I used to pray for smothered." But Ray says, and I love this part of the episode. I love when they give these like illustrative examples of Marie being overbearing, or like, a couple episodes ago, I think we had the detail about Marie telling Robert that the ice cream truck song meant that the ice cream man was out of ice cream. Like, I love those jokes.
Right.
Marie became the cafeteria monitor when Ray was in school to make sure that he ate all his food and kept his sweater on and sat with her. And then Robert remembers how once Ray started walking to school, Marie used to follow him all the way, hiding from tree to tree. And Ray says, "Oh my God, that's the crazy tree lady from my dreams." Robert says, "Nightmares, huh? When's the last time you had one?" Ray says he just had one 4 days ago. And then he says, "So the jumping canoe guy is," Robert says, "Dad." We don't get to hear that story, but, you can imagine. Robert, this lightened or cheers Robert up a little. He thanks him for coming over. It really did make him feel better to know that the parents didn't do great by Ray either. Ray says, "Yeah, I should talk to them." And Robert says, "Want to borrow the dummy?" And that's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
A great scene. I love those, like, their memories of growing up in this crazy family. Our hot close is Marie and Frank's kitchen. Frank's eating breakfast. Robert comes in, makes his breakfast at the counter, sits down, turns and jumps when he sees that. So recall that Timmy was sitting at the table when Ray came over the previous night. Turns and see that Timmy's head is ripped off. And Frank
just
says,
a big stick.
Frank says, "Not so funny without his head, is he?" And Robert says, "What'd you do with him?" Marie in the background walks in, opens the freezer, sees Timmy's head in there, and screams. And then Frank just laughs maniacally as sinister organ music plays over it, and they fade out. And that's the end of the episode.
I love this episode so much.
Yeah, that was great.
It was the Godfather-esque part of this was just wonderful. I really liked it.
Was so funny in that. Just a great episode, honestly. I loved it. So let's turn our attention to the classic barometer. As we always do, we're going to rate Ray on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being the bad men of television history, Walter White and Don Draper, And 10 being the great sitcom dads of all time. Your Danny Tanner, Uncle Phil, Carl Winslow, Gomez Adams, sure. Mike, Alex, give me another one.
No.
Come on.
That was powerful.
You can do
I
it.
can't. I don't know. Fuck. Who's a dad?
Maybe not a dad, maybe a surrogate dad. A chosen dad.
Gru from Despicable Me.
That's good. That's good.
There you go.
Who'd you put out there?
He said Gru from Despicable Me. He
Oh,
learns
actually,
to
yeah,
be
that's a good
dad.
one.
He's a good dad.
That's a good one.
Not a sitcom, but a comedy movie. Sure.
Yeah.
We'll take
I
it.
sit to watch it, so sit calm.
I sit.
Don't put me
I
on the
come
spot like
to
that.
watch it.
Even though, we had a week between episodes and I could have, thought about it, but just didn't.
Yes, both of you should always be thinking about who's a great sitcom dad, who's a 10.
Who's a good sitcom dad?
Because
yeah,
you never know which one of you is going to get called on, so you should always have one in the chamber.
Oh, look at you.
But those
God, what
are
is a school.
the end points of the scale. Let's find out where Ray is falling this week. I'll go first. I am going to give Ray a 4 because
Oh.
here's why. Other than Ray reconciling with Robert, you can argue about whether it's okay for Ray to be making fun of Robert as he tries to do the traffic school. Whatever. We as the audience enjoy it. We like the heckling. It's funny. For thinking at a really interpersonal level, like as if these are real people, which is what we do for this exercise, if you were trying to do something at your work that was very important to you, that had real material consequences, we know that Robert gets paid extra to teach traffic school, and this might get taken away from him because he's not doing a very good job at it, and he wants to practice with his family. If your little brother is busting your balls the entire time that you're trying to do it, to the point where you are unable to do it for longer than 10 minutes before you give up and leave, and then go and, are driven to verbally harass your family over, past transgressions, that's not very nice, Like,
That's a true point.
Ray is the driving force that drives Robert to that point. And the fact that, he makes up for it at the end and they have a nice bonding moment, but if, they wouldn't have to do that if Ray hadn't been such a dick while Robert was trying to do this. So I'm giving him a 4. Mike.
That's reasonable. I don't know if I'm going to go that low. I give him a 5. Yeah, like you're right. It's a bit of a dick move, but also, like I said, I also think it was kind of inconsiderate of Robert to do all of this stuff too, and force him to sit down. Also, Robert rats him out for having this traffic ticket. He knew that Ray didn't like it. I think that Ray got in trouble. Heckling isn't. I think that's a fair correspondence. I don't know. You're right. It wasn't ideal. I also get it. I think it was fairly neutral. Overall, I'm going to give him a 5. He also was a great brother at the end by having that very, very wholesome moment where they're sitting around experiencing or reliving that shit that Marie put them through together. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick with a 5.
Okay, Alex.
I was going to go even higher than that. Adam had some great points. I do think it was kind of a big dick move of Ray to kind of completely throw off Robert's attempts at this because, it's important to him. He does need this to, earn a little bit of extra cash. It's not like his job itself was on the line, so the stakes weren't gigantic, but there were stakes there for him. But again, Mike is also very right in saying that, this is probably a weekday, and it's sun's down, and as we have established, we're in mid-spring, so it's late, at least 8 o'clock, probably 9 by the time they start. And Robert's saying it's going to take 3 hours if they rush. It's really? We're going to be done at midnight? They got lives to live. Marie and Frank are old. They got to go to bed. So what I give Ray here, I'm gonna go 5.5, and I would go a lot lower for Robert, just because I think he was the driving force of negativity here. But I agree with all. Points.
That's a good point.
I'm with you, Alex. If this was if that was the thing, if we were judging Robert would be really low. But that's not what the barometer is about.
Nope.
I think for what it's worth, I think you both make excellent points, and I think it comes down to really how we perceive each number between us. Like, I see 5 as Ray's not doing anything particularly wrong, whereas, as my final justification for 4, I do think, despite Robert, inconveniencing his family, Ray is still being a dick. So, I think we're all speaking our truth here. Mike, what's the average, though, between 4, 5, and 5.5?
That comes out to a 4.83 for this episode.
All right, let's call it 4.8 and log it in our little book where we write these down. Alex, it's going to be tough because we're out here on the water, but if you want to just roll that up and put it in a bottle and push it towards the general direction of Limbrook University.
Oh shit! That's towards England. Hang on.
You threw it straight east.
Good thing we got more. Good thing we had 2 bottles.
Yeah. By the way, Mike, you went through that.
That one hit a seagull.
Mike, you're going through this Kevin James wine fairly quickly. You're feeling okay? You're not.
I'm good.
I'm
vibing.
Coherent. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I know we.
I don't feel anything till bottle number 3. So
okay.
Hang on, you done with that one?
We brought the whole the whole case.
I just wanted to hit the seagull again.
Fuck the seagulls.
You guys are very hostile to the seagulls. But anyway,
seagulls are evil.
So that's going in the general direction of Limbrook University. Hopefully they'll get that and send us our money, of course. We thank Limbrook University and the Will and Belinda Bates Foundation so much for funding this project. No relation. But that means that's it for us on this episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Barone Zone. You can email us at raymond@postfund.org. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you might get some free apparel from shop.postfund.org.
We got to start advertising that at the beginning of the show.
I think people...
Yeah, true.
I think people
stop listening after the barometer.
No.
After the barometer, it is literally as if we copy and paste the ending.
No. This is the first time that we've thrown a bottle of Kevin James wine at a seagull in the ending.
That's, you know what?
That's a fair point. Point.
I'm not saying it'll be the last one, but it is the first one.
Maybe we put that ad in the beginning, too.
Maybe. So as you heard in the beginning, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you too could win, and you could win a piece of apparel from shop.postfund.org. We'll be announcing the winner of that shortly, so get those reviews in, please. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else to mention. Anything else, Mike?
Nope, just our classic sign-off. So thank you all very much for listening, and until next time, always remember that everybody
loves
Raymond,
and we love you.
Deborah!